Okay. Ask a professor with Dr. Tracey Dawson Cruz, the Department Chair of Forensic Science. There we go. Okay. So Dr. Cruz, please tell us, how long have you been with VCU?
So I've been at VCU since 2003. So I've been there, this is my 18th year.
And did you get your degree at VCU or did you get your degree elsewhere?
No, I got my undergraduate degree, my bachelor's degrees I got from North Carolina State University, which is where I am from, North Carolina. And those were in microbiology and zoology. And then I went on to graduate school at UNC Chapel Hill for my PhD in pathology.
Okay. And as well as being the department chair of forensics, what else do you do for the department?
So in addition to the department chair, I also teach. I don't teach as much now that I'm the chair. I only teach one class a year usually. So I do teach though, and I also have a research lab in the department. And in that research lab, I take undergraduate, graduate students. I also have a full-time staff member to pursue some of the research questions that I've been working on for several years.
Okay. And speaking of research, what is your favorite personal accomplishment you have?
With regards to research?
It can be research, just anything in general of forensics.
Okay. Well, I think that the things that I'm most proud of in my career have been the graduate and undergraduate students that I have mentored in my research lab. I've been doing this long enough now that I have former students that have gone on to become lab directors, technical leaders. I have students that have become forensic science faculty at other universities. And so I'm most proud of the products of our department, the grad and undergrad students that we put out there, particularly the ones that I work closely with in my research lab. In addition to that, I am also really proud of one of my research projects. I finally have my first patent. So we have been working on developing a microchip system for sexual assault sample processing. And we got a patent last year and we're starting to market that to companies that may want to license the technology. So we're working on that. So I'm really proud of that accomplishment and I hope that it comes to fruition.
Congratulations on your patent.
Thank you.
We're gonna go a little bit out of order here on my list of questions.
Okay. That's fine.
I'm gonna start with the general questions about the department and then I have two questions. I have questions from one of our second year grad students that also PAs.
Okay.
So the first question as to the department is, what does the future look like? Long-term and short-term. There's a typo in that question.
I think that short term, you know, the department will continue to battle the challenges that COVID has brought to the university, and those challenges aren't unique. They're seen in all the other departments as well. So right now it's consuming a lot of our time, responding to student needs and lab needs to be able to provide a high quality education that we're used to providing with forensic science. It's very difficult since we're laboratory science. So I think in the short term, we're going to continue working on our improving our delivery of the content using these, you know, special hybrid types of delivery, which is not something that we're used to. In the future, hopefully we can move away from COVID response and continue working on some of the other things that we were working on prior to the COVID crisis hitting. And that includes the addition of new courses and programs, particularly programs hopefully for the professional community, ones that we can integrate our students into and also provide needed service, particularly to the criminal justice community and the jurisprudence community, providing some training on scientific evidence and how to review and interpret those reports and how to integrate those within a courtroom setting. So I think that's something we're looking forward to. We also have asked the dean for new faculty lines, including a new faculty member who can help us teach the crime scene courses, who can step in and work with Dr. Miller on that. And then we've also asked the dean to provide for us a new faculty line so that we can hire a legal specialist, someone that has some expertise in forensic science and the criminal justice system, specifically in the administration of justice and how forensic science fits into that world. So we really would like to have a legal specialist on board with our faculty. And with more faculty comes growth of our physical space. So along with that, we're also looking to expand. We've expanded beyond our space in Harris Hall, and we hope to continue expanding. We've asked for more lab space and more office space and more classroom space. We're really looking forward to that. And I should mention the STEM building, the new STEM building that's being constructed. We do have it where the Franklin Street Gym was. We do have space in that new building that's going up. We have several new teaching labs in that building. So we're really excited about opening those new spaces for our undergrads, because it's going to be much nicer space than what we have now for teaching.
Okay. And speaking of COVID, how has the forensic science department overcome COVID to meet teaching and research needs?
So I think on the teaching side, we were able over the summer to get plastic barriers installed in our laboratory so that students could still come to labs and have some hands-on. That's been very difficult because we have to keep the space requirements. Students have to wear masks, which is uncomfortable. But we also were able to talk to the dean to get us face shields for all of our students that are in the lab, so that in circumstances where they cannot remain physically 6 feet apart, they can also wear a face shield and be able to work closer together, which is really critical for some of the lab classes, and especially for the crime scene courses where they're practicing processing mock crime scenes. It's really important that they be able to have some freedom of movement there. So I think on the teaching side, we also had to spread some of our classes out and move some of our classes around, which was slightly inconvenient for some students. But we, even with the face shields, we cannot put a full stack of 24 students into one of our spaces anymore. So we're down to 50% capacity. So some of the students have noticed that they're spread out over 2 classrooms with only 12 students each, and the faculty members circulate between the 2 classrooms. So, and Eric Hazelrig, our associate chair, worked really hard on that through the summer to help get the barriers up, installed, and work on the seating arrangements and the plans so that we could have some of our students back for in-person learning for our lab courses. So he did a really good job there. On the research side, the research labs opened up a little bit earlier. They opened back up in June with limited capacity, and we scaled up from 25% capacity to 50 to then 85 and then 100% capacity. So it was a phased in capacity approach with the research labs. Other than that, many of the same limitations are there. We obtained all the PPE for our research labs, including the face shields, and then all of the same kind of rules are in place for the research labs. It's a little bit less challenging because there are not as many people typically that need to occupy a single lab space at once on the research side. So we did have a shutdown of our research labs for about 3 months, and that was pretty painful. We experienced a lot of challenges there because some of our faculty have projects that have living cells or living tissues that needed to be taken care of, instruments that can't be shut down for long periods of time that still needed to be taken care of. So it was really hard for faculty trying to figure out how to not let things fall apart while we were 3 months not allowed on campus. But we got through it and we're back open, and I think that the department has done a really good job responding to all of that.
Okay. So I have 2 questions that is from a second-year grad student who also TAs, I believe, with Professor
Hazelrig.
Hazelrig.
Yeah.
Alex,
yeah.
right? She specializes in trace evidence and stuff. So she has inquired what distinguishes forensic science staff at ECU from other schools' forensic science staff.
Oh, that's a good question from Alex. I think because I really like talking about our faculty, I have worked with and at other universities and departments of forensic science, and I can tell you firsthand that our faculty is second to none. It would be tough to find another forensic science academic program with faculty who are as engaged and qualified as the faculty that we have. So I think the biggest thing that distinguishes us from other programs is that when we hire, we make a really big effort to recruit people that have ideally both teaching but also practitioner experience as a forensic scientist in a crime lab somewhere. It's really important that the people that we bring in to teach our students can bring the academic part, but also the practical experience, the casework experience, and they can talk about that because there are many, many unique challenges of working cases that is different than a basic science, a basic biology or chemistry experience. And so we have insisted on bringing in faculty who have that experience. It's not always easy because sometimes we have to really push to make that happen, but we've been able to do that in every case. So all of the faculty here in our department have firsthand experience in their specific forensic science discipline, whether it's working forensic entomology cases, forensic anthropology cases, forensic DNA cases. We have all been out in the field working cases before we came back to the university. And then most of us also had teaching experience prior. So we bring a great depth of experience. And for us to have 11 faculty with that level of experience across different disciplines is a really special thing, I think.
And she was also wondering what makes the lab classes here different from those offered at other programs?
So that's a good question too, and I think that is another thing that really distinguishes our programs from other programs is that we also, we demand to have the resources available to us to be able to provide our students with real experiences in the laboratory. So we don't dumb down labs for students. We insist on having the right tools, we insist on having the right instrumentation, and we figure out how to get our students and get their hands on those instruments and working with those tools so that when they go into the forensic science community, they are familiar with those. And we don't want to dumb down labs to those that are paper exercises or virtual exercises that mimic the lab. We really insist on getting our students in there with the instrumentation and the equipment that is exactly what they would see in an operational crime laboratory. And that comes with a price tag. It's very expensive. But the instruments that you see through our department, the GCMSs, the LCMSs, the sequencers, the real-time instruments, the next-gen sequencing instruments, the automated liquid handling robotics, the microscopes, they are all the same models that you would see in just downtown at the Virginia Department of Forensic Science and in that large state operational crime lab. And so we really have worked hard to make sure that we keep those instruments in-house, that we stay relevant, stay cutting edge, and that we find unique or interesting ways to kind of pay for the upkeep and maintenance that is needed to keep those instruments functioning for our students. And it is a hard job. Forensic science is not cheap for a university to take on the right way. But I think VCU has done that. They've made a real commitment probably 20 years ago to making sure we had the right people and the right tools to do it the right way. And I think you can really tell by a quick walk around our department and a quick conversation with some of our students.
And our final question, we're going to end on a good note. What are 3 major special accomplishments for the department?
So I think for that, I might dip back into years past a little bit. I think by far and away, our biggest accomplishment was becoming our own department and moving into our own space. For many years, we were a program and we were living in borrowed space from the Department of Biology. which was amazing, but we were spread out all over campus. We had faculty on Grace Street. We had faculty in the Trani building. We had faculty all over the places and labs all over the place. So it was a real huge step in the right direction for us back, I think around 2010, 2011, to move into the space in Harris Hall, to have it renovated specifically for our needs, and to be able to come together, because being around each other creates a really good environment for collaboration and integrating our work into our teaching better. And it has reaped many benefits from being together. It just creates a better atmosphere, both for our students and our faculty. And that we were able to accomplish that with the leadership of Dr. Michelle Peace, who at that time was the interim chair, and Dr. Bill Eggleston, who was the chair before her. They really pushed to get us space and to get us kind of unified as a single department. And that was a huge, huge accomplishment for us. Otherwise, we have both our undergrad, all 3 tracks, and our grad, all 4 tracks, programs are accredited. We are accredited by FEPAC, which is the Forensic Science Educational Accreditation Commission. This is a commission that accredits forensic science educational programs, and the standards that they use were set in large part by crime lab employees and crime lab directors. So it's a very tough bar to meet. It's very difficult to meet the standards of those programs, particularly for so many different tracks and degree offerings. But all of our academic programs right now are accredited and have been, I believe, since 2005. And so we have to redo that every 5 years. We're up for reaccreditation this year, so we'll go through that process, but I have no concerns that we will continue to be accredited. And it is a major motivating factor for us when we think about expansion and development and things like that. So I think accreditation, is really big. And the last thing that I'll mention, I think, is just growth. Again, going back to our faculty, we have such amazing faculty, and the deans have given us the resources to be able to recruit faculty. And so every time we add new faculty, it's a huge step forward. And this past year, we got 2 new faculty. We got Professor Walcott. She is an expert in firearm pattern recognition, firearm and tool marks examination. And that is the first full-time person we've had who does pattern recognition. So we are really, really happy to add her. And then we also added another forensic toxicologist, Dr. Emanuele Alves, and she is getting settled in and teaching some of our forensic chemistry courses. And so I just think adding new faculty, particularly 2 in 1 year, is a huge coup. And so we're really excited about bringing them in and them getting going with us. Is that good?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys doing this.